Welcome to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of the Legacy Retirement Group. Greg, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
So good to see you.
Kristen,
I was waiting for him to say good to be seen. Remember that one time he said good to be seen?
Yes. I did.
Maybe we should try that again.
I thought there was something else coming. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. I can respond pretty quickly other than unlike Greg. So, yeah.
Well, I'm so excited about today's topic because, Greg, you wrote an article for CNN entitled 7 Common Pension and 401k Mistakes. How do you and the Legacy team help people avoid these important mistakes that people can make when actually talking about something like this?
But as you get close to this retirement age, these things can be really, really costly. So whether you make a mistake with your 401k, with an IRA, with a 403b, with a 457 deferred compensation plan, all those would be under what we would consider a retirement plan.
Okay.
Or as you're trying to decide, how do I take my pension?
Yeah.
Those can be so costly. That's why I wrote the article, because I wanted just to alert people of some things to pay attention to before they make the mistake.
Okay.
So that's really huge.
So number one is not protecting your spouse.
Ooh, okay.
That's a big one. And unfortunately, we've seen it done so many times inadvertently in a lot of cases, not really thinking through the decision-making process. So remembering that if you choose single life for your pension lump sum, then when you die, then your spouse is going to be left to replace that income. So if you don't have a plan for that income replacement, that's not protecting your spouse and not preparing them for a future retirement without your pension.
Absolutely.
Kristen, we recently had a family come in that had that decision, and they looked at it and they said, well, we're going to get less money if we leave some to the spouse. So each of them both worked for the state of Ohio. Both had pensions of around $5,000 per month. Each of them would have lost between $500 and $600 per month if they included the spouse. So the determination was, well, let's not lose between us $1,000 a month. Let's just take a single life each. And so if one spouse passes away, they're going to lose roughly half their monthly income versus losing about 10% of it or a little less if they took the spousal benefit. They didn't bounce it off of anybody. They just kind of did a homemade plan. And then as they came in, they said, we kind of regret what we did because we feel like it might not have been the smartest decision, but now
The reasoning seemed right at the time.
The reasoning seemed right, but
Yeah.
But once you make a pension option and you get that first check and it goes in the bank, now that's irrevocable. You can't go back and change it.
Wow, okay.
So getting input and doing some math and making sure of what's actually best is so important when you're making that pension decision, not to exclude your spouse.
So the second one is taking a lump sum without a plan.
Wow, okay.
So I get to use my favorite word here, taking the money willy-nilly. Greg makes fun of me when I say that, but it's true. Just taking the money and putting it in the bank and, okay, now what, right?
Yeah,
now I just start pulling money out of the bank and paying for my living expenses, or what do I do? So having a plan before you make that decision, because like Greg said, you can't really go back from that. So you want to make sure that you're taking the plan, the money as efficiently as possible. So sometimes it might make more sense to take a lump sum because you have more control over those dollars, but you need to kind of do a comparison and make sure you're getting the same benefit out of those dollars you've taken.
Yes, and for state employees, we run into so many to plop or not the plop. That is the question. And so with state employees, we have the opportunity to get a plop. Sometimes there's a minimum plop you can take. And by the way, that means you get to take a chunk out all at once.
Okay.
Okay? And there's a maximum plop. And so deciding whether or not a plop is even something you want to do.
Okay.
And so many times we've seen people take lump sums and they pay off their house. They go pay cash for a vehicle.
Yeah.
And before you know it, after they pay the tax to Uncle Sam, that lump sum is gone. And now they have no income to go along with it. Okay, yes, the house is paid off. No, you don't have a car payment, but that car doesn't last forever.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's huge. In many cases, we've seen people spend a third of their lump sum in taxes.
Wow.
And so that could be a big, big mistake if you don't have a proper plan with that lump sum.
And what does PLOP stand for?
I don't know exactly what those, it means, well, you're getting a plop of money at once.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that's what it is. So
I'm sure it's an acronym.
instead
I know.
of, yes, but instead of, yeah.
Something Ohio pension.
Yeah. But ultimately.
When we come back, we'll answer that
Yes.
Yes,
question.
let's Google really
Yes.
quick. That's amazing. Okay, so when you think about it, again, this is one of those situations where if you have that option to choose something, you really need to talk to your financial advisor first. You shouldn't be willy-nilly, correct?
Right. You should really start thinking it through because two minds are greater than one, right? You can borrow brains to make sure that you're making the decision based on all the parameters possible. Of course, nothing's perfect, but at least we can talk through the potential issues with each choice and make the best decision based on your circumstances. So another one is claiming your benefits at the wrong time.
It is, because there's always a pension document that tells you exactly what all the rules are. And you go into that document, and sometimes you'll find, well, if I waited 2 more years, I would have gotten a larger percentage of income. And so understanding what all the rules are regarding your pension options, or if you want to pull money out of an IRA or a 401k, understanding the rules, because you could retire, you know, a lot of people were offered buyouts and they weren't quite 59 and a half. And so there's these rules about pulling out of retirement accounts before you're 59 and a half. Well, you can pull out of company-sponsored plans, such as 401k or 403b. You can pull out of those plans prior to 59 and a half if you're retired without a 10% penalty. However, if you do so out of an IRA, now you're going to get whacked with that 10% penalty. So understanding what's proper, what account to take from, when you're able to take from it, and what all the rules are, whether it be taking it from a pension or from a retirement plan, is huge, because you don't want to get hit or socked with extra taxes if you can avoid it.
Sure, that makes sense. Well, Greg, there's a very special offer that you and Kristen would like to present today. Let's spend some time talking about what that is before we open the phone lines.
Well, sure, because as we're faced with these decisions, we can do what we call a 401k and pension x-ray. We can help people navigate through this so they're not doing it on their own. They're not doing it blindly. They have some help that with somebody. I mean, I've done this for over 30 years. And I understand a few things only because I've seen so many things over the years. So it's a privilege for us really to sit down with families and help them navigate through these big, big decisions.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 614-336-7660. If you're sitting in the viewing audience today and you're about ready to retire and perhaps you have a pension coming your way, do you know the proper way to navigate that pension? Do you take the lump sum option? It's very important that you speak to a financial advisor before making that decision, and especially a fiduciary, someone that has your best interests at heart. Don't miss this opportunity. This is a complimentary consultation today, 614-336-7660. If you have your smartphone handy, go ahead, grab it. Click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Legacy Retirement Group's landing page, and you can schedule your time with Greg and Kristen accordingly. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more on Winning Retirement with Greg and Kristen Taylor when we return.
Plan smart, retire well. How do you do that? You know, many times we meet families and they actually think they have a plan.
But what about when you want to upgrade your house? What about when your wife wants to buy new furniture?
No investment decision should be made outside the context of a plan. So what is your plan? We believe in the 3-bucket approach as it comes to your finances. Your liquid bucket, which is what I call the sleep well at night account, for when the what ifs happen in life. Your income bucket, which is there to meet the gap between Social Security, maybe a pension, and what you really want to live in. We believe you should protect that income, then grow the rest. And then your growth bucket. The growth bucket's really focusing on helping you achieve your growth goals. As you transition from your working career to retirement, we want that to be the greatest moment of your life, and we don't want you to fumble the ball.
So imagine, when you're working, you're getting a paycheck. When you're retired, you have to pay yourself. The 3-bucket approach is a really easy way for people to start compartmentalizing what they're doing with their money.
We want you to be successful in any economy. We want you to thrive no matter what's going on. You know, worry and fear and greed are the biggest problems when it comes to investing. We want to take that off the table, and we want to make sure you have a consistent growth strategy. We want you to be just as successful in your retirement plan as you were in your accumulation plan.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement Television with Greg and Kristen Taylor. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. We are having such an amazing show today. And the thing is, people don't realize in the viewing audience that in between the commercial breaks, we're laughing together. So I love that we have so much fun.
We're really making fun of Greg.
Well,
actually.
a lot of times,
that's
yes.
what we're doing.
Well,
Yeah.
you know.
But I love today's topic because this is very important. 7 common pension and 401k mistakes. So, Kristen, this next one, number 4, not safeguarding your pension. Let's talk about that, not safeguarding your pension.
Yeah, so your pension is what's going to provide you your income in retirement, because let's face it, you're paying yourself in retirement. Typically, you know, those options are based on you receiving some sort of monthly stipend, if you will, right?
Okay.
So if you take a lump sum, the thought process is you're using at least a portion of that lump sum to supplement your income in retirement. You're just doing it yourself. You're not taking their option, their annuity option. But what we find some people end up doing is they take that lump sum and they put it all in the market. And so now you're putting all those dollars that are there for your retirement income needs into a place that is not a guaranteed place to pull money from.
True.
So if there's too much risk associated with those dollars in that portfolio, then you could potentially lose what you have as set income throughout your retirement years.
Well, Kristen, just last year we had someone come in, well, just actually a few months ago, they retired at the end of 2021. They took the lump sum option from the pension, and their advisor said, well, you know, just put it in a mix of mutual funds, some stock, some bond, and you'll be able to pull out an income, and that money will last you your lifetime because we'll average you between 6 and 8%. And so certainly you could pull out 4% without really any real worry, and that made sense to them. So they put it in a mix of stocks and bonds, and what happened in 2022, they lost over 20% in that stock bond portfolio. And so now they don't feel confident that they can pull out the income they need because they've lost value.
Well, now you have to have such a stellar couple years to make up those dollars you lost.
You do, and if you lose 25%, you need about 33% just to break even,
Wow.
not including what you pulled out for income or what you might be paying in fees. So one bad year can make it really an unsurmountable task
Yeah.
to get back to even.
That's scary.
And after 1 year, their confidence was shaken. So they came in and said, what can we do about it? Now, I can't go back and replenish what it was they lost, but what we could do is come forward with a plan that made sense for what they were trying to accomplish.
Wow. Thank you so much. Greg, this next one, not choosing or updating your beneficiaries. Let's talk about that. That's a big one.
It is, and we had a situation. It's kind of sad because, you know, a fellow was married, and he had his spouse as the beneficiary of his pension at work, and then they got divorced, and he got remarried, and then he passed away, and his former spouse was still the beneficiary of his pension at work. So when he passed away, his current wife did not get his pension, but his former wife got his pension.
Oh, wow.
Not what he had intended, but he never took the time to review his beneficiaries. And so we've seen this many times over the years where people just don't even think about it. Whether it be on their 401k, whether it be on their IRA, whether it even be on deeds and titles to things, just making sure that those beneficiaries are up to date. Or perhaps it's another marriage, but you didn't think about your children, and now your children are sort of left out. They're on the outside looking in if you pass away. And so unintended consequences just because we don't update things like beneficiaries.
And that's nearly impossible to fight in court, correct?
It really is, because a beneficiary designation overshadows a will, it overshadows a trust. So it's really very, very difficult to overcome.
Wow. Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, this next one, not maximizing the company match. This is a big one. A lot of people say, oh, I don't really want to do that right now. Well, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's huge because remember, there's not many places where you can get 100% return on your money. And so if your company offers 100% match or even a 50% match, some will do 100% up to a certain percentage and then 50% thereafter. There's different parameters, but at least take the free money because, I mean, you can't get that anywhere. Now, it's a bonus if they offer a Roth 401k, and we've talked about that before. So if you aren't going to miss those dollars, putting it into the Roth with a match is the best way to do it because remember, those dollars go in taxed, but then they grow tax-free and they distribute tax-free. So that helps to combat that whole thing with, you know, paying tax later on and getting those IRA accounts built up, 401k accounts built up too high and having to pay the tax later on. At least with the Roth 401k, that's not the issue. But yeah, most certainly take the match. And you can do planning afterwards to get it out of that 401k.
Okay, all right. And Greg, this final one, listening to the wrong people.
Oh my goodness, you know,
Water cooler talk.
Cooler.
water cooler talk. You know, I've had people over the years give me investment advice, you know, on the fly. People that I thought were actually pretty intelligent people, and you know, sometimes I've taken their thoughts and their advice, and other times I haven't. But this, you know, years and years ago. And what I've learned is you don't want to go to someone that just because they're a smart person. My brother-in-law is a really smart person. They're really successful. They're really good at whatever it is they do. But are they investment professionals? Is that what they study? Is that what they do? You know, we have an entire team that works with our clients. I don't even try to do it all on my own. We have an entire team that analyzes portfolios for us. They analyze what's going on in the market. They make adjustments regularly. They do all that because it's not really good for just one person even to look at it.
When it's not just for right now, right? It's for the long term.
It
Because
is.
so many people are fixating, oh, this hot stock tip, it's doing so well right now. Well, it made you just as bad a year from now,
That's
right?
true.
So having that steady, that more efficient curve, I think is important too.
It is, and it's important not to listen to the wrong people when it comes to how to invest your 401k, how to invest your IRA. It's how to take your pension. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to, you know, I had someone come in and their friend said, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to worry about what my wife gets. She can sell the house. Well, how do you think your wife feels if your you know, great plan for her is to sell her home if something happens to you?
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't work.
No.
So having a plan that makes your family feel secure and not just listening to the water cooler talk, even on how to take Social Security, all these things, having someone that's been down the path help and guide you as you're making these huge decisions.
Absolutely. Well, Greg and Kristen, this is the perfect time for us to reopen the phones. Would you agree?
It
Yes.
To our viewers at home, the number to call is 614-336-7660. And if you're sitting in the viewing audience today and you're asking yourself, do I have a plan for retirement? Do I have the right guidance? Do I know that the person that I'm working with has my best interests at heart? If the answer is you're not sure, this is the perfect opportunity for you to call in today and book the complimentary consultation. Let Greg and Kristen take a look at what you currently have in place. And I mean what your dreams, your goals, and your needs are. Not your financial statements, but just about you as a person. Let them design a customized, holistic retirement plan that suits your needs, not your neighbor next door, but this is all about you. And honestly, you deserve it. You've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years. Why not take advantage of this complimentary consultation? Once again, 614-336-7660. Or if you have your smartphone handy, go ahead, grab it, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Greg and Kristen's landing page. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more on Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristen Taylor. Stay tuned.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. A great show we're having today, talking about such important topics always surrounding retirement and retiring with confidence. This next topic I want to talk a little bit about because we know we have 2 years before the Trump tax cuts begin to sunset. And I've heard you say that taxes in retirement can be one of the biggest threats to our financial security. Greg, what are some things that people can take into consideration when you're planning for someone's potential tax consequences down the road?
Well, I think the first thing we need to take into consideration is what someone truly believes can happen to our tax rates. So these rates sunset. Do believe that once they sunset, that rates will just remain the same? Do we believe that some miraculous way taxes could actually go down further?
That would be a miracle.
That would be miraculous. Or do we believe that we have a government that's out of control? We have a Congress and a Senate that cannot stop spending. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle that we look at.
That's true.
They don't seem to stay true to our core principles as a country. And we are now roughly $32 trillion in debt. Social Security is underfunded. Medicare and Medicaid is underfunded.
Yep.
And just those items with the interest on the national debt make up about 80 cents of every dollar our country brings in right now.
Wow.
Think about that.
80 cents on the dollar.
So
Okay.
all the other fun things our government has to try to do, they've only got 20 cents out of every dollar to do it with.
Oh boy.
So where will they get more money? Could it be possible, just possible, that tax rates could increase? So if you're home watching right now and you think, you know, Greg, that might make some sense, tax rates could possibly go up, then we have to think about what we're going to do during these next 2 years. And you know, Cynthia, there's over 240 taxes that affect us each and every day during our lifetime. And there's some that take place even after we pass away, to add insult to injury. So what do we do about it? Well, there's a big, thick book of tax code. And within that tax code, there are legitimate deductions, exclusions, exemptions, and credits and things that you and I can do to potentially reduce or eliminate some of these taxes. But oftentimes we're either indifferent to it, we don't pay attention, or we just don't think about it because our lives are busy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you don't think about it because that's not what you do, right? We went to dinner with our accountant, our CPA we use at our firm, and for our personal taxes, and he was joking about reading through the 17,000 pages or something like that. And I said, "Oh, that just sounds like an exciting night." He's like, "It's lots of fun to me, you know. It is exciting to him. It's not exciting to us necessarily." Now, Greg does know a lot on the tax front, but we're not CPAs at our office. That's not what we do.
No, we don't give tax advice.
Right.
But
right.
what's interesting is even with our firm, with our practice, we're always finding out something new from him that we can do. And it's better to know in advance than to make mistakes or not be efficient by missing out on some of those exemptions that are available.
That's true. And you know, we can't avoid all taxes. I mean, we have to pave our streets, we have to pay our police officers and our firefighters and all the men and women that serve us and do such a wonderful job. And, you know, I just want to take a minute to say I'm thankful for the men and women we have serving us that provide all those services. And I don't mind paying taxes to receive those wonderful services.
Right.
But, you know, there's lots of things that I don't necessarily agree with that my tax dollars go to. And I just feel like, okay, every dollar I've saved back if it's tax deferred, well, that's an IOU I have to Uncle Sam.
Yes.
So I've said often, and I said it in my book, an IRA is an IOU to the IRS.
Yes.
So we have created a process where we provide people with what we call a tax map or an RMD report, required minimum distributions. Most of the time we're so busy saving money, we don't really think about the repercussions that happen later on.
Yeah.
So we've deferred or delayed all these taxes in our retirement accounts. And so if someone is fortunate enough to save $1 million in their retirement accounts, and maybe they're 62, 63, 64 years of age, well, if you're 63 right now, you're not going to have to take a required distribution until you're 75. Well, in that 12-year period, there's a possibility your account could double in value. What would that distribution look like? What would you be required to take out, and how could that impact your taxes? These are all things that, you know, if we don't stop and test it and pay attention to
Be
it.
intentional.
Be intentional.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Then before we know it, it sneaks up on us. And if tax rates go up now, instead of, you know, maybe we got a tax deduction in a 22% tax bracket, but who knows what the tax bracket will be when we have to go and pay it back. That's when we
Yes.
take money out.
That's the unknown.
That is the unknown. And it's the only loan I know of to where we don't really seem to care what the future interest rate may be. I mean, we're up in arms about the mortgage rates today. I believe the average on a 30-year fixed mortgage is around 7.3% right now,
Yes.
I read recently.
It's actually slightly higher than that right now. It's the highest that it's been in a long time.
Yeah.
And we think, well, my goodness, 7.3% or higher, that's horrible because, you know, people have been used to me down around the threes, right?
Exactly.
But imagine if your tax bill doubled like that.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you went from 22% to 44%. Is that ridiculous? It's happened in the past.
Absolutely, it has. Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is 614-336-7660. If you have questions about what taxes look like in the future and how that's going to impact your overall retirement strategy, don't miss this opportunity to book the complimentary consultation with Greg and Kristen. Again, the QR code is in the bottom corner of your screen. Go ahead and click on that instead if it's easier for you. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today on Winning Retirement Television with Greg and Kristen Taylor. Take care.